into 2011.
Good luck.
So the goal with this game is to basically go back to the origins and sort of set a whole new foundation for who Lara is. So that means we don't go back into the old canon. There will be a couple of things in there that Tomb Raider fans will be absolutely delighted with, but we won't be positioning a character that by the time she gets to the end of the game, she'll put on those tight shorts and that blue top. Those days are left for the sort of older Lara Croft and the pop icon that she is. But for this new game, we set a whole new foundation. This is almost like The Batman Begins. It's one of those titles that we took inspiration from the very beginning. It's how we break the character down in the first third of the game and sort of show a different side to her and ultimately help redefine her both sort of mentally and physically all the way through. So the character arc throughout the game is very important to us. Obviously, we want to be able to set the foundations long term for how Lara as the infamous character goes on, but we want to show a side to her which, again, looking at inspiration from how movies such as Spider-Man, Batman, Hulk, or even some of the games have done over the years is about setting a very firm foundation for a girl who isn't who we think she is. She shows an emotional side. She shows a very different perspective on the world that we ever thought we knew of her. And ultimately, as we play the game, we start to learn how she grows. She becomes that survivalist, and that gritty side comes out, and that infamous Lara that we want her to be. So it starts to show her face pretty soon on in the game. So throughout the entire experience that you saw today, one of our goals is to be able to really bring character performance. It's about really thrusting the player into that emotional situation with the character and bringing them really close. So we do things like we brought a cinematographer on board, a new camera team. So it's all new camera team from what we've ever had before. So there's a lot of breaking the camera off and putting a player right up beside Lara in tight situations like the claustrophobic tunnel. And even with our animation set, as she moves around the world when she gets injured, we want the player to really feel that situation. So you see her kind of crouching down, holding her side, and as we get into the rest of the campaign, we'll show how sort of the medical hits, the healing side of that operate, and about how when she gets injured it can really affect the style of gameplay that you have. But for us, our goal is to be able to bring the player as close to the character as possible in sort of really bringing that emotion through. So the three core pillars of the Tomb Raider experience is about smart, resourceful Lara. It's about sort of teaching the player about the building blocks of how physics and how the dynamics of the world operate. So in what you've seen today, it's all about sort of teaching the player earlier on about fire, for instance, and about how fire is a very important asset, but obviously it gets put out by water. So they're the building blocks of what the physics will sort of inherently develop throughout the entire game. In terms of exploration, in the past, we've also had a very linear experience. So that binary jumping from ledge to ledge, and you have to be very, very tight and specific about what you do. Now, we're not an open world game because we want to be able to tell that direct, emotional, immersive story. So what we've done is we create a system which are all sort of non-linear hubs. Basically, the locations from all around the island, you'll be able to come in and out of those locations as freely as you want using the fast travel system in our UI. But each area allows us to be able to define a very unique and different experience. And what we haven't shown you today is combat. That's something we're going to keep secret for a while because we don't believe that right now, by showing combat, we're able to give you the vision of what that means to our character, to show you the very early origins and beginnings and thrust you into that situation with a gun. We kind of feel would extract you from what we're trying to sell right now. So combat will come. It's a little while away, but we're very, very excited for it. So what you saw today, we showed you a little bit of survival instinct. Survival instinct is going to be a cool factor to the game. So easiest way to explain it is, imagine when you play Batman Arkham Asylum and you hit detective mode. It gave you a sort of snapshot of the world, a little bit of insight into things that you may or may not have realized. For us, it's all about sort of those building blocks. So the two sections that we showed you today, we showed you how fire works as a physic, and when you hit survival instinct, you were able to see all the flammable objects. Then at the end of the cutscene, we showed you Lara acknowledging a footprint on the ground, and then as soon as you hit survival instinct, you're able to see those footprints. Ultimately, you become less reliant on using survival instinct as you play through the game, but at this early stage, it's about sort of really setting the foundation of how the style of game we're going to create. We're just about to embark on yet another E3. This is going to be the first of two E3s. We're going to be shipping in fall 2012. We have a little bit behind closed doors at this one. We're very excited to hear what people think. We've had quite a long run up to this, and we're planning to bring the game out on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC, and hopefully also for Mac.